Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna sit back.
Welcome back, you citizens of the world. I'm Michael James, and I'm bringing on our first guest for the Live from the Heartland show for the week of September 21st. And I'm really glad to say that our first guest, Ebony DeBerry, is a Rogers Park neighbor, and she is running for the new Chicago School Board, District 2. And I think it's good that our listeners and viewers get to know her. She is endorsed by a whole host of people, including Network 49, including the 49th Ward Alderperson Maria Haddon, 48th Ward Neighbors for Justice, Northside Democracy for America, and a whole host of other people. So good day to you, Ebony.
Good day, Michael. Thank you so much for having me on such a wonderful historic show. And I'm so proud to be here representing Rogers Park, 11 Rogers Park.
Right on. And I did have one of your canvassers come to my door the other day, and I said, I'm already in. I'm rooting for her. So give us a little bit of our listeners and our viewers an overview of what the elected school board is all about, how it came to be, and what is it going to do?
Yeah, so those are some big questions. For more than 20 years, Chicago was the only school board that was not elected. We were fully appointed by the mayor. We never knew who those folks were. We never knew what qualified them to make decisions for our public school system. And for more than 20 years, organizers have been fighting for the right to have an elected school board. It's been a very popular decision for decades, and still it was a huge fight. And I think over the last 5 years, we've gained so much momentum in electing progressive elected officials that it's finally come to be. And we want some of the folks who helped organize to make it happen on the board. You know, we want people who represent our values, people who have a history for speaking truth to power, for demanding what's just, elected. And so I'm so proud to be on the slate with many activists and organizers endorsed by our schools, which is a huge coalition of grassroots supporters.
So how is this set up? Your District 2, how many elected board members will there be, and how many, is it all going to be elected, or is it some of them going to be appointed by the mayor, or how's it going to work?
This election cycle, half of us will be elected. So 10 of us will be elected. Another 10 will be appointed. And it depends. Every district is split up. So we live in 2A as Rogers Parkers, and 2B would be south of us. So Albany Park and some of the other neighborhoods south of us, they would be 2B. When I win in 2A, the mayor will appoint someone in 2B. That's how it works.
So there are going to be 10 elected members and 10 appointed by the mayor. And at some point, that's going to change where they're all going to be elected?
2 years. 2 years from now, everyone will have to run their own race and everyone will be elected.
Do you think that's good that the mayor is appointing 10 of them now? Or is that something that was a compromise?
I think it's good for the first time, mostly because we've never done this before. There's been a lot of building it while driving it, while flying it right now. We're trying to figure out how much this election costs, how many people we need to get a win number. There were so many unknowns that I think we would have had a lot of the same kind of folks we always had before, those with the privilege and the money and the wheel for power running. And those are not necessarily the people we want representing us.
Ebony DeBerry, tell me what the school board does. What will the school board do? Yeah, I assume it's to run the whole CPS programs, Chicago Public Schools, but give me a little overview of what they do.
So the Board of Education has a lot of power. They decide how we spend our money and with whom. They decide a lot of policies that Chicago Public Schools have to enact. And also, they are responsible for keeping Chicago Public Schools accountable for what they say they're going to do. So it's a lot of responsibility. It's a huge budget, $9 billion. Ooh. And there's a lot of interest in private money going into these races, because in the past there were all kinds of backdoor deals, and there's lots of ways to have power plays as a board member. And so we really have to watch this election very closely and be privy to who's supporting whose campaigns.
Let me go a little bit further on that, because, we had, as the head of the whole school system, we had Arnie Duncan for a while, who's a good guy in a lot of ways, but he was for charter schools. And in Network 49 up here and in our ward, we were pretty critical of charter schools and that it took money away from the public sector. And we actually passed some things in the 49th ward that said no more charter schools. And I'm wondering if the concern about the mayors of this mayor probably is not going to appoint pro-charter school people, but that could be an issue, I would imagine. If the school board leaned to the right, they could put money into charter schools. Is that a true thing?
Absolutely, and we should be very wary about it. The moratorium on charter schools is going to be up soon. So that means that a lot of people interested in making money off of public education are interested in running and financing this race. We in Rogers Park, we respect public education. We fight for public education in neighborhood schools. And we know that no one should be profiting off of public education. It's a very scary idea. We know that New Orleans lost their public school system. A lot of Philadelphia lost their public school system because of privatizers. It's not okay with us. Because
everyone should remember that the person who helped lose the public schools in New Orleans was Vallis. And I'm glad we don't have him as our mayor, but he could attempt a comeback. And that's a whole other issue about how Mayor Johnson is doing. It's time to ask you a little bit about yourself. First of all, why are you running? What made you decide to do this? You're a longtime organizer. You've done a lot of community work. You work with educational initiatives for One North Side. You oversee the Parent Mentor Program. You're a longtime community activist. You graduated from the Chicago Public Schools. You are the parent of a recent graduate, et cetera, et cetera. Why do you want to be on the school board?
All those reasons, Michael. I am so proud to be from Rogers Park. I'm so proud to be a graduate of Chicago Public Schools and be a parent. I used to be a teacher in the system. Now I run a mentor program where parents volunteer in classrooms. And so I want to be accountable to my community. I want to represent our community. The District 2, we have very unique issues in terms of language access, in terms of busing issues, in terms of SPED requirements. And so I want to represent those folks that I get to interact with on a daily basis because of my job and because of the way I like to volunteer and interact with my community. So I'm running because I didn't hear anyone's name that I trusted was running. I'm running because people that I love asked me to run. I'm running because I'm a mentor to a lot of other women of color, and I want them to know it's possible.
That's good. Those are good reasons. So let me ask you, I'm going to throw you a little ringer here. What do you like to do for fun?
Oh, Michael, I love to thrift. I love to read.
Like the kids.
I love to travel. So those are my big three. I love those things the most. And I haven't been able to do any of them in this election cycle. So I'm very looking forward to November.
Yeah, after November, I think all of us think we're going to travel around. So What are your hopes for the new elected school board? I mean, what will you bring to that, and what might other progressives bring to that if they are either appointed by the mayor or elected by the community?
My biggest hope, Michael, is that we get a coalition of folks that are willing to work together, that share a lot of the same values, that are willing to fight for more funding. A lot of what we want to do is going to cost a lot more money. It's going to require a lot more positions to be filled in our public school system. And so my biggest dream is that we're on one accord, that we all desire fully funded schools with librarians, nurses, art teachers, counselors, social workers, smaller classrooms, everything that I had.
Track and field, a real track rather than running in the hallways.
Thank you, Michael. Yes. Real sports teams, diverse teachers to go along with a diverse student body.
Well, all those things are really good. And let me ask you about the other people running. Are there any other districts where you are in simpatico with other people running? I mean, I imagine there are some communities, some of these districts that are going to have not as progressive types running. What do you see out there among your fellow candidates?
I see everything. I see everything you can imagine, Michael. Paul Vallis has a PAC. He's already supporting some of the people in this race. We need to be wary of that. Also, G2 Brown, who's been fighting for a just school system for 30 years, he's already going to be on the school board. All his competition has dropped out. So there is the whole gamut. I'm just hoping that we get enough people we can work with to move things for our children, There are pros and cons about having so many people on the Board of Education, right? We want to be representative, but also we need to reach consensus.
Well, that's a key thing, and it's good luck to that. So how would you suggest people who are interested in your campaign can find out more about it or could help? I know you have volunteers out there in the community working. Give us a little bit of info about how people get involved and what they might expect to be doing.
Yes, thank you, Michael. Please look for me at Ebony, EBONY, 4, education. I'm on all the socials. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Also, that's the same name for my website. I need canvassers, people who are willing to knock on doors or people who are willing to phone bank and call voters and let them know about me. The thing about the elected school race is none of us have much name recognition. So getting my name out there is super important. Also, people who are willing to have house parties, have neighbors over to introduce me to. Fundraising is huge. There's more money in my race than any other race in the city, and it's not my money. I have the people power. I don't have the money power. So please get involved in any one of those ways. It would be super helpful.
Ebony DeBerry, how many people are running against you in District 2?
There are 3 others.
And how many? Only one gets picked?
One gets elected. And the mayor can appoint anybody he wants, not necessarily any of us.
And are there any other avowed progressives running, or does everyone say they're progressive now?
Everyone says it. So I would check the history, right? What do the young people say? Check the receipts, people. Where have they been? I've not seen them in community meetings.
Well, the education of our youth is one of the most important things that can happen. And I'm proud to say that I'm the dad of a lot of kids who came out of Chicago public schools, and they've all gone on to do good work in the world. And, we definitely have had a challenge in the recent years around the privatization of our public education system. It continues throughout the country, really. It's not just a problem here. I know that there are some good charter schools around the country that do good work, but there's a lot that are just about making money. So, Ebony DeBerry, you got 1 more minute. Give me a wrap about what do you think ought to happen and how much better the schools could be?
I have so much hope for our public school system. I get to be in 8 schools right now that are doing incredible things. We can leverage our universities. We can leverage our community centers. We can leverage employment centers and lift up our children and their parents at the same time. We really have to worry about maintaining our neighbors. So we have to make sure that our neighbors' jobs have better jobs or access to better jobs. We can work with the city colleges. So sustainable school model is what I'm really harrowing. It brings up children and parents at the same time with partners.
So this big election is taking place November 5th. There's a lot of other stuff at the top of the ballot that we hope people will be paying attention to. I think that the elected school board is down at the bottom, but don't hesitate, all you people. And what is the big date? It's Tuesday, November 5th?
Absolutely. Tuesday the 5th.
Well, it's really good to have you on, Ebony. I'm sure we'll be talking to you again, and I'm rooting for you.
Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate you. And I hope to talk to you sooner, closer to Election Day.
Right on.